What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Boxing writer Lance Pugmire 6 days ago said Spence versus Crawford was imminent. That was 6 days ago. So obviously that's not the case. The fight is not imminent because it's still no deal between the top two fighters at 147 pounds. Now I'm gonna give you my synopsis on what I think is holding this fight up and if this fight is actually gonna come to fruition. This fight has been discussed, negotiated for many months now, and it seems to be no end in sight. But one thing we do know is Spence Jr. is fighting November 19th, hopefully against Terrence Crawford. Crawford came out about a week or two ago and said that he agreed to everything. And you got people running around here saying that he signed the contract. When you agree to something and when you sign something, it's two different things. That's apples and oranges, ladies and gentlemen. Right after Terrence Crawford said that, Spence Jr. came out on Twitter with a yawn emoji. And what that indicated to me that he's tired of the whole situation. Basically, Crawford, what took you so long? Because I have agreed to terms months ago. So that wasn't no ringing endorsement of the comments made by Terrence Crawford that this fight actually was about to get done. Now, Pugmire had some good nuggets in that interview on Fight Hype. He said Daniel Cunningham, who used to be over MTK Global, has criminal, illegal activities that has been associated with his name. And Al Heyman, who runs the PBC, don't want to be associated in any way with that. So if Terrence Crawford has any ties or alliances with Daniel Cunningham, that's a non-starter as far as Al Heyman is concerned. But Pugmire did reveal that Al Heyman did his homework on that situation and everything came up roses as far as Terrence Crawford involvements with Daniel Cunningham. Now, another thing that people might not be looking at is the fact that Terrence Crawford doesn't want to sign with the PBC. He doesn't want to sign Al Heyman as his advisor / manager. He basically wants to be a free agent, wants to stay a free agent. You know, his contract ran out with Top Rank. They ended on bad terms, and I don't think he's looking to sign a contract with a promotional company. Not a promotional. He's not looking to sign a multi-fight contract with the PBC. That's a problem. That's a problem. Due to his bitter end to the relationship with Top Rank Boxing when his contract was up, he's not in any rush to sign or commit to another promotional company. Now that's a problem. If you're not willing to sign with Al Heyman, you're not willing to align yourself with the PBC, that's another obstacle that can prevent this fight from happening. Because you got to understand that the PBC got burned already with the whole Canelo Alvarez situation. When he fought Caleb Plant in a one-fight deal and he left and signed a 2-fight deal with Matchroom Boxing. Before he fought Caleb Plant, the PBC offered him a 3-fight deal. First he would fight Jamal Charlo, then he would fight Spence Jr. at a catchweight, and after that he would fight David Benavidez. Now, the second fight could have been Spence or Benavidez, and whoever he fought in the second fight would be the opponent he fight. Whichever one he didn't fight in the second fight, he could fight them in the third fight. Basically, it was you could fight Jamal Charlo, fight Spence Jr., and then fight David Benavidez, or you could fight Jamal Charlo, fight David Benavidez, and then fight Spence Jr. at a catchweight. That was a 3-fight deal that they offered Canelo Alvarez. He turned that down. And after the Caleb Plant fight, the PBC guy left standing at the altar. And they don't want the history to repeat itself with Terrence Crawford. As Canelo Alvarez won that last strap off of Caleb Plant, became undisputed, and then rolled off into the sunset with Matchroom Boxing. PBC do not want that to happen in the Terrence Crawford situation. They basically want futures on Terrence Crawford. You beat Errol Spence Jr., you got to fight him in the rematch. You win in the rematch, then you fight Jermell Charlo or Keith Thurman. Basically like a 3-fight deal, similar to the 3-fight deal that they offered Canelo Alvarez. Terrence Crawford don't want to sign that. He basically want to do a 2-fight deal. I fight Errol Spence Jr., and then I fight him in a rematch, and that's it as far as my ties to the PBC. I don't want to be aligned with any promotional company in anything over 2 fights. And I think behind the scenes, the PBC is actually worried about Terrence Crawford fighting Errol Spence Jr., beating Errol Spence Jr., and then retiring. Not even fighting him in that second fight, because if these rumors are true, that Errol Spence Jr. will be the A-side in the first fight, and even if he loses, be the A-side in the second fight, you know Terrence Crawford is feeling some type of way about that. And he's a guy that he hold grudges. Remember, he didn't forget what Arum said. And right after he defeated Sean Porter, he basically told Bob Arum to go kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think he's going to forget about, in his opinion, being misused and abused in the negotiations with the PBC. The PBC is not giving him enough credit for what he's done in the sport of boxing. Number one, in a lot of people's eyes, as far as pound for pound, I don't think he believes that the PBC is giving him his just due. And he's the type of person that I've seen from a distance, don't know him personally, but he seems to be a guy that holds grudges and don't forget things. And he could easily, after defeating Errol Spence Jr., tell the PBC to go kick rocks. I'm not going to give you guys another fight with Errol Spence Jr. I'm the undisputed, and I'm going to retire and wait for the Hall of Fame to call me and enshrine me into the Boxing Hall of Fame. I could easily see Terrence Crawford doing that. The PBC might be believing that could be the case too. So it's a lot of different things are at play here. But the bottom line is this fight is not done. Hopefully it gets done. This is a pivotal week. If this fight don't get announced this week, I have a hard time believing this fight comes to fruition. So we will see what happens. And we will see what transpires. Now, another thing people may be overlooking or don't know is the whole WBA situation involving Amantius Stellionis. Stellionis took step-aside money because when Yordenis Ugas defeated Manny Pacquiao and became the WBA welterweight champion, he was obligated by the WBA to fight Amantius Stellionis in his next fight. They was able to convince the WBA that Ugas wanted to fight Errol Spence Jr. in a unification. And they was able to convince Stellionis to take step-aside money, and they put Stellionis on the undercard as the co-main event to Spence versus Ugas when he fought Butavev, with the understanding that Stellionis will get a shot at the WBA title in this next fight. So that whole situation needs to be sorted out. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. There's a lot of obstacles that need to be overcome for this fight involving Spence versus Crawford to come to fruition. So we will see what happens. And we will see what transpires. So we have the whole WBA situation involving Stellionis. We have the whole Daniel Cunningham situation that Lance Pugmire said has been cleared, but who to say that Al Heyman don't go to Spence and say, man, I'm just not sure about this whole Daniel Cunningham situation, man. I don't want to be involved in this thing. I looked into it. It wasn't a lot of stuff there. It wasn't a lot of there. But at the same time, you know, you look at fighters involving or have ties with Daniel Cunningham, they can't even come over here to the U.S. Look at Tyson Fury. He can't come over here to the U.S. His little brother, Tommy Fury, could come over here to the U.S., and he ended up having to pull out of the Jake Paul fight. So he can easily tell Errol Spence Jr., hey, man, I just don't trust it. You know, I don't want to be involved in this guy that's a mob boss. involved in criminal activities. The U.S. Department of Treasury is looking into him. They say he's over there in Saudi Arabia, over there in the Middle East. They're providing him sanctuary. So it's a lot of things going on that can prevent this fight from happening. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I hope the fight happens. That's all I can say. I hope the fight happens. I think it's 50-50 if the fight happens, and hopefully it comes to fruition. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.